Telling the story of Marie Curie, director Marianne Satrapi seems similarly driven to blaze a bright trail of her own. With Radioactive, Satrapi eschews traditional biopic notions in favor of a more daring approach. But the execution is frustratingly inconsistent, with a time-hopping structure that's more jarring than thrilling. Rosamund Pike remains magnetic throughout, however, as the brilliant two-time Nobel Prize-winning physicist and chemist. Radioactive gives her plenty of room to be feisty and no-nonsense, fragile and impulsive. Rosamund is a great in everything and has demonstrated dazzling range, from an education to Gone Girl, and she is more than capable of convincing us as Curie that she is the smartest person in the room at all times, male or female, and so it's disappointing that she is saddled with so much insipid expository dialogues in Jack Thorne's script, particularly in the film's first half. The young Polish immigrant born Maria Sklodowska and the man who goes on to become her lab partner, husband and the father of her two daughters, French scientist Pierre Curie, spend so much time standing around explaining technical things to each other, as well as their feelings, that it almost plays like an episode of radium and polonium, the latter of which is named for her home country, and the film leaps ahead in time and plays to 1957 in Cleveland, Ohio, where a doctor is explaining to a worried father that a new process called radiation can help save his little boy who is suffering from cancer. As Pierre accepts the Nobel in Stockholm in 1903, we see the Enola Gay preparing to drop the atomic bomb on Hiroshima in 1945. The most drastic of these interludes, despite the seamless artistry of its visual depiction, comes when Marie is at her lowest, sobbing in the street in the dead of night in a stranger's arms. Just then, a fire truck zooms by on its way to the Chernobyl nuclear meltdown of 1986, yanking us out of a raw, vulnerable moment and undermining a moving piece of acting on Rosamund's part. The ambition of this storytelling approach is intriguing, and the instinct to avoid a linear, paint by numbers narrative is certainly appreciated, but the result feels both scattered and painfully literal, and it saps the momentum Satrapi has built. The proved with the autobiographical, strikingly animated Persepolis what an innovative creator she is, but the conceit here feels misguided. But still, Radioactive is consistently gorgeous to look at. The work of the great Anthony Dodd Mantle, Danny Boyle's usual cinematographer, and an Oscar winning for Slumdog Millionaire. Both beams of white light stream into the Curie's laboratory, providing a dramatic vibe to what could have been dry material. A flash forward to a Nevada desert town that's been set off for the express purpose of being flattened by a nuclear test blast is especially startling. A stark mess of melting plastic and smoldering ash. Radioactive gets better in its second half when Curie is forced to face dark, prickly emotions and find a new identity on her own as both a professor and the mother to a budding scientist in a too brief performance as Irene Joliot Curie, who won her own Nobel Prize for Chemistry in 1935. She becomes more interesting the less sure she is of herself, and at one point says to longtime friend and fellow scientist Paul Langevin, "I am bored of strong. I don't want to be strong. I want to be weak." Now we are finally achieving a level of complexity worthy of such an icon. Due to picturizing such an amazing historical cinema, we would like to give this movie a rating of 7 out of 10 stars. If you are interested in science, then this movie is good for you.